Vice Mbeseha, I want us to talk a little bit on the the United Nations foreign policy vis-a-vis the ongoing conflict in between the Cameroon and the U.S. ambassador's stance as far as school resumption is concerned. When I do watch channels in the United States of America where you have activists of Palestine or Hamas and Israel, they come to comment. There is no civility in the way they speak, especially when they realize, when one side, if it is either Israel or, or Palestine, realizes that United States policy does not favor a particular situation, they are not happy about it and they speak really aggressively. But I understand that um, you, by Stambasia, for some reason, you have a different approach, which I'm not questioning it from negative. I want you to process based on the ambassador's opinion, the UN policy, the US policy, foreign policy on the following the current war. Why do you think that Amazonians, if they are not satisfied with the way he is doing whatever he's doing, should react the approach that you would like? It's an important thing which can help to educate our people. We want to understand, why do you feel that we should not react to it, or even if we have to react to it, we should be fanning him while reacting?
I don't know how many times I will talk about this thing. It looks to me that many of us don't understand what the ambassador said. If you had that thing, that would have asked you to put it out there. They are just four sentences. Just four sentences. That's what the minister, the ambassador put out there. Ambassador did not say that you must send your children to school. I was looking for it, but I could find it in my phone. I couldn't find it. He didn't say you must send your children to school. He simply said, education, the children have a right to education. Full stop. We all agree. All children have a right to education. And then he goes on to say, look, as far as Northwest and Southwest is concerned, people who are calling for the children to go to school and threatening them are wrong. He's also right. When the ambassador puts out those things, all those things that Choyaba and those groups are put out there, threatening to shut down the school, to kill people, they don't go unnoticed. He's not talking to this government. But those statements out there don't go unnoticed. So people have put out those statements there. The ambassador says it is wrong. That is his second statement, sentence or whatever. Then he concludes that they have always said that all these problems should be resolved in a peaceful manner. Remember, the ambassador is not going to go out of their original policy. What's the policy of the government of the United States in this conflict? Their policy is simple: go to the conference table without preconditions and address the root causes of the problem. That's the official stand of the American government. The ambassador has not contradicted that. That's his last sentence. As always, we always stand for, he says, favor negotiations to end the conflict. He didn't force your child to go to school. He simply put out the outline there. But you must remember that the ambassador, no ambassador, even in Yaoundé, if he was there in Boya, would issue a statement that children should not go to school. He's not yet a judge. It's for you to judge. The ambassador will not come out to say your children should not go to school. He will put out a general statement. But what's important in that very general statement is our policy has always been negotiation. You have to put out the outline. Children, like people have a right to school. That's right. That's a fact. All of us agree. Children have a right to school. Somebody is among Amazonians threatening them If you go send the child to school, we'll kill the child, we'll do this. He has noticed that. They say that is wrong. That is just wrong. The children have the right to education like it is universal. But as the United States government position is always this, there are problems. We have always recommended negotiations to solve them. I didn't read that document as imposing on any Amazonian anywhere a parent to send his or her child to school. That's not what it said. I didn't read it. If it said so, I stand to be corrected if you point out that phrase. So I just think that we don't understand what these guys are saying. They are diplomats. And again, particularly for the United States. The United States, all of us in this government and most Ambazonians know the official position of the United States government, starting from Trump to Biden for the past 8 years. They have all stood for go to the conference table, negotiate without preconditions. The people have been bulking out of negotiations are not we, this government, it's the Yaoundé. And they realize that they have always said, even in their official statement, the so-called Grand National Dialogue did not satisfy what was needed. That's why till today they are still calling for negotiations to end the problem. So what will you do if you were the ambassador sitting in Yaoundé for the United States of any country else? What will you do? You issue a statement from your embassy telling them that, well, don't go to school until the war is over? That's not diplomatic. You cannot do that. So I didn't say that we should not disagree with them. We should disagree with them. And I always said, this is American diplomat. You and me live in the United States. Watch their debates. This is their election time. When he asks Kamala a question, or Donald Trump, in a debate, he's not going to answer your question. He's going to steer you back to his position, to his policy. And so when something comes out like that, like this thing that comes from the ambassador, what we should be doing as this government here, we should use that opportunity to emphasize our policy. This government did not stop anybody from going to school. That's our position officially. This government has said that the environment is not friendly. That's our official position. We emphasize our policy to make a distinction between us and other charlatans who are outside there posting for Amazonia. Yeah, you are a government, but we don't deny the fact that we may deny it, but the world notices that there are other people out there purportedly talking for Amazonia. So we only use this opportunity to emphasize our own stand. As Barasan says, we have never closed in the school. If we didn't close in the school, we cannot give an opening date. Our position does not even go to the program, what the children will learn. That is not yet the time. We have not addressed that. So we should use the opportunity to say, well, this is what the ambassador has said, but this is what this government stands for. We stand for the opening of schools, going to school, if the parents find the environment conducive and safe for their children. We repeat that statement as often as we can to distinguish us from the people that the ambassador is referring to, who are threatening to kill children if they go to school, threatening to burn down the thing if they go to school. And that is why, for example, last week when they were changing this date, this so-called lockdown date, they could change their lockdown date. But the only mistake was they made it seem like they were changing the lockdown period to coincide with the opening of school, that school should not go on. That was in contradiction to our policy as a government. That was where they made the mistake. And so, again, if you're asking me, I've never said that we should not disagree with them. No, they are not going to speak one word after the other with us. They are going to speak in their own language. And where we find a distinction, we should only use the opportunity to expand. Where we already have a standing policy, we will use that opportunity to expand on our stand. So that if he did not understand, which he understands, he will know this particular group, this is their position. He will distinguish us from other groups because there are many other groups that whether we like them or not. We have to distinguish ourselves with our own policies. That's all what I've been saying. I wonder if I'm properly understood. And over to you.
Thank you very
Daddy,
much. And
Daddy,
I
Daddy,
really appreciate. Yes, I'm going to give
Daddy,
you the mic, Barrister Flo, I'll give you the mic. Let me comment. I really
Mhm.
appreciate the fact that you have taken out time to make this comment. Barrister Flo, please, you may want to react.
I have the press statement issued by the U.S. ambassador. I have it right here. And listen to me very carefully. For the 8 years of this conflict, no ambassador has talked about
Can
school
you forward,
resumption.
can you forward it to me so
But
that we can have the people see?
Yeah, put the statement out there. That would be great.
it's on Twitter,
Just,
the platform that we have Twitter on.
yeah,
I
just
don't know
read
Let,
how
it.
to
just
how,
what
how but let me read it.
It's just
Let me read
read it.
it. The
Yes.
U.S. Embassy condemns all forms of violence against civilians, and we are deeply concerned by the recent incidents and threats in Cameroon's northwest and southwest. We have been we have been throughout the no wait in the southwest, northwest, and southwest regions as we have been throughout this crisis. Moreover, as classes resume in the coming days, we cannot forget that every child has a right to an education. Schools are sanctuaries for learning, and children must not be prevented from attending classes. We reaffirm the need for peaceful approach to address complex political and security issues. That is
Fine.
the end of that statement. And
That's good.
my argument is this:
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
the eight
Go
years of
ahead.
for the 8 years of this conflict, no U.S. ambassador has issued a statement on resumption of schools in the northwest and southwest. And if you read this statement, it shows that everybody in Cameroon, including the U.S. ambassador, is now talking about the resumption of schools without and he is saying that nobody has a right, that schools are a sanctuary for learning and children should not be prevented from going to school. He I don't know why he did not also say when there is a conducive environment in a war zone. And does the US ambassador not know that there's a war in the northwest and southwest? Of course he knows. To issue this statement is an affront to the fact that whether there's a war or there's no war, these children should be allowed to go to school. How do you do that? Let the US ambassador also address the fact that the schools are now being occupied by the Cameroon army. And nobody on this show right now has said that the US ambassador should issue a statement. It's saying that children should not go to school. Nobody said that. All I'm saying is that he has entered into this debate, whether from the front door or from the back door. The fact is that he has issued a statement on this issue. What does that mean? Why now? Why now? A week, if I look at the date, it's just about a week or so to the United Nations General Assembly. What is the underlining? What is the underlining reason for this press statement? We have not, we as a government of the Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia, we have not issued any statement. We have since 2019 given the position of the government as far as schooling is concerned in a war zone, letting the parents take charge of what in their own environment where they live. All the schools in the whole of Ambazonia, in all the villages, that is the statement. In all the villages, in all the villages. And this statement has made Mimi for, who is a public agent, to insert the issue of separatists preventing children from going to school in this statement. If this statement did not come out, Memimifo would not have an opening to insert the separatists inside. Why this year? Why now? That is the issue.
Paddy, let me just say something. I think we should take a bit of time. Leave the statement there, please. We should take a bit of time to discuss it because it's important for people to understand it. Put the statement up there again. It's just 4 sentences.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it. Go ahead. We're gonna talk about it. Yeah,
I have my. Because I said in my own statement, you see, an ambassador or a stranger is not bound to say things in your own words. I want us to deal with what he has.
Also, by Mbeseha, you've said this a couple of times. Also, we are not bound not to criticize him the way we feel emotionally. No. Because that's what you're trying to say. Because you're trying to caution the way Ambazonians react to when politicians are politicizing on the freedom of a people.
To me, our action is out of place and misplaced. Put the statement there. I'll tell you read one sentence after the other and see where we agree or disagree. As simple as that. It's a short statement.
It's not a question of the statement. It's the fact that they issued that statement as far as school is concerned. Why this year?
Well, you ask a question.
Why now?
Let me answer. Yes, because the topic now, even in Mbeseha and Cameroon, is school resumption. And so, bring it down a bit. Read the first sentence. The U.S. Embassy condemns all forms of violence against civilians, and we are deeply concerned by recent incidents and threats of Cameroon's northwest and southwest regions, as we have been throughout the crisis. Full stop. Do we agree with that statement?
Yes, I think I agree with this statement.
Okay.
Everybody agrees with the statement. I don't know what we have to agree or disagree on.
No. We're analyzing this statement, Mr. So let me give this.
I agree with the statement. But that statement has made Memimifo to insert separatists. I will show you where Memimifo has it.
Barrister Fro, give a moment. Let us process the information closely.
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Yeah, put up the statement again. We agree with that first and put up the whole thing again. Second statement, second sentence. Moreover, as classes resume in the coming days, we cannot forget that every child has a right to an education. Full stop. Is that statement correct?
Yes.
Does every child have a right to an education? Is that statement correct?
Yes.
Okay, if that statement is correct, we agree with the first 2 sentences. Third sentence. Schools are sanctuaries for learning, and the children must not be prevented from attending classes. Is that true or false? Schools are sanctuaries for learning. No child should be prevented from going to school, for attending classes. Is that right or wrong?
No, I think I like the debate you're bringing. No, just a moment.
You answer.
Just a moment. Let me speak. You ask a question unless you don't want an answer. We're having an inclusive conversation. We're having a discussion, and I think it's important because they are watching us. We need to connect our emotions to them. Now, when a diplomat poses such a question, from I am a student in international relations, let me finish now. There are many directions. Now, let me finish. You have asked a question. When a diplomat makes such a statement, there are many directions to analyze that statement. And we must not be bound to be civil with this diplomat that has certain levels of authority to question Cameroon's bad behavior on the ground. You must understand that an ambassador is the full representation of a nation in a country.
Right.
Now, when an ambassador in Yaoundé, let me finish, but Mbeseha, can I finish?
You're not saying what I said.
Let me finish. I'm going to analyze it, and I need to give a preamble before I analyze. Now, when an ambassador says that schools are sanctuaries for learning and children must not be prevented from attending classes, that statement is ambiguous. It is
very ambiguous. It does not take into consideration that there's a war zone, that is a war going on.
That statement is a total, it's in alliance of Cameroon's, it's a very dirty political statement because it is in alliance with Cameroon's claim of a normalcy. Because if schools will actually just go normally, with unabated, listen, we are talking about a situation where there is crossfire between armed men or Ambazonian State Army and the colonial forces.
And the Cameroon army.
And even Cameroon proxies. And Cameroon has killed students many times so that to paint Ambazonia bad. This statement does not consider the fact that we at a time like this, we will require that bodies and organizations will seek for Ambazonia to become a buffer zone. If they are so interested in having Ambazonians go to school, how difficult, like the president asked last Wednesday, how difficult is it for them to declare a buffer zone? They have done this before. They have done this in many other parts of the world.
Or to ask the United Nations UNICEF to declare a buffer zone for schools, for the safety of schools.
Because this is a political statement that does not.
And it's a very dirty statement. It's a very dirty statement because it does not take into consideration that these schools are located in a war zone.
Well,
okay, Barrister Mbeseha wants to speak. Barrister Mbeseha, speak.
Yeah, this is my point. Schools have closed. I'm from the BLM. Most schools in the BLM have closed. But who caused the schools to close? Who prevented the schools from opening in the BLM? It was not even the Red Dragons. It was the government. So when he says people should not be prevented from going to school, I've come here many times and said, look, even the schools that were still there, the government prevented them from opening by transferring the teachers away. So it depends upon what
now
you're talking from. Let me finish, please. My own understanding is this. You may disagree with me. If schools are not going on in Ambazonia, in particular because of the war, who has caused schools not to go on? To me, this is my view. You may disagree with me. It is the government. We have just sanctuary. We were just discussing the own segment where the government is bringing soldiers into a presidential school in Nigeria. I would say that's not a safe environment. Is it Ambazonia bringing soldiers into classrooms? Certainly not. In my own area, where we have schools, just in other place, teachers all moved out. They ran away with their children. They didn't run away from the Red Dragons. They ran away from the bombing by the government. Most of the schools are their schools. People ran away with their children. So we said, people should not be prevented from going to school. He has been very careful. He has not even said Ambazonian fighter, talk less of talking about this IG.
Oh, hold on. Did you read the person who posted this? Did you read what she wrote?
Let him finish, please. Let him finish.
Whereas you respect your Mimi Mifo. Mimi Mifo is an activist. I don't think anything that can.
I don't respect Mimi Mifo.
No, but
I don't respect Mimi Mifo.
Let me finish now. You are quoting from his Twitter side, whatever he says. Whatever he says, Mimi Mifo, is nothing to me. What this ambassador says is important to me because it's talking from the authority of a government, not Mimi Mifo, not Ayabacho. So if this statement is put out like this in general thing, the schools are sanctuaries for learning. No children must not be prevented from going to the school. To me, he has not said Ambazonian fighters in general terms have stopped children from going to school. The most important thing now is his last sentence, which goes, we reaffirm the need for peaceful approaches to address complex political and security issues. This is where my analysis is. You may disagree with me, but you see, all this thing of calling on the UN to do this.
Okay, before you progress, let us talk so that we can have some equilibrium in this analysis. Now, you may want to undermine whatever Mimi Mefo post on this wall. I want to inform Everybody, Ambazonians might not know this, but I happen to be in the milieu and I understand it very well. Mimi Mefo for Hansen. That's why I get really offended when they write anything that is against us. Their
Mhm.
platforms are internationally recognized. Their platforms are internationally recognized platform for reference when it comes to reports from the Cameroons. And I'll give you why. These are internationally recognized refugees who have been granted protection, and intelligence has it that Cameroon has played their usual card and gone and manipulated them. A few days ago, I'm telling you now in front of TV that Mimi Medford, myself, and Von Hansen in 2018 into 2019 were all of us together in the communications department. In fact, Mimi Medford was the first lady that Chris Ano and myself wanted to use as anchor for ABC News when she was just leaving Douala. Now, that aside, I wanted to give this backdrop. If Mimi Mefo paraphrases a statement to accuse us, that only defines to us the propensity of the statement that is made by a diplomat. Now,
Yes.
media rhetoric can fly with any information. And that's why in
Yes.
America, a diplomat can make a statement and different press houses use it for different political gains. We are at a very critical period. Cameroon has escalated the maneuver, the manipulation to tell the international community that normalcy is returning. It is unacceptable. It is unfair for the people of the Southern Cameroons to have the ambassador of a country that has told Mr. Biya to come for a negotiated settlement, and Biya has despised it. It is unacceptable for an ambassador for the world superpower that has banned Cameroon from AGOA because of brutality in Southern Cameroons. For him to now make a statement, the concluding statement is another political statement because this particular sentence, schools are sanctuaries for learning, and let me read that statement again. Schools are sanctuaries for learning, and children must not be prevented from attending classes. Who is preventing children from attending classes? You can't say that during a war situation. There is war. The children's life is at risk. I would think that he should be more concerned about the current insecurity than those or whoever is preventing. There are those who are using schools. Schools have been used not just in the Saudi Cameroon. I was following the news. It was used in Afghanistan. It's been used in Palestine. It has been used in all the wars that America has fought. Schools have been used as a method of resistance. We started resisting by shutting down schools in 2016 when we did not have weapons. So his
Yep.
statement, that statement is political because it does not even neutralize the effect of the preceding statement. That's a major concern. So
Well, let me just,
we need
but
to
yeah, I agree
communicate
with
this
you.
emotion.
I agree with you that the statement is political. But my thing is this, which you have refused to understand. We take that statement, just that last sentence. The school is a sanctuary for learning. People should not be prevented from going to school. That's a universal right. Why can't we take the positivity out of it and use it to analyze the situation? Just as you and me have done here. It is sanctuary. But can children sitting in the classroom with soldiers be considered a sanctuary for learning? No. That cannot be a sanctuary when soldiers are sitting on the bench in Aziri or in our place. See, we're analyzing the
Mhm.
same thing, but taking different approaches. This, the ambassador has put, you have just every statement in that, those four sentences are all heavily loaded with politics and diplomacy. They weigh their words carefully. And so when we take every word of theirs, we turn it to analyze our policy. Nobody should be prevented from going to school. Yes, that's a fact. We, this government, today, We have not prevented anybody from going to school. To the contrary, children are not going to school because the government has destroyed the schools. The government has occupied classrooms. We have not challenged the ambassador, but we have used this opportunity to expand our policy to the world. He has been very careful not to say that Amba people are preventing people from going to school. But we are the government. You see, Mr. Ambassador, you are right. But the environment is supposed to be a sanctuary. But if there are military riders sitting there, if there are guns flying over the children, it is no longer a sanctuary. It is difficult for children to go to school in that condition. Just as I said here, a school-friendly environment. That's my approach. I didn't say that we should not criticize them.
No,
I say we should
I
criticize
get
them.
where you're coming from. I want us to make progress so that we can examine the government. I would rather that we spend more time on analyzing the strategy behind the Amazonian government stance. There's a communique Dr. Munga shared uh, uh, a few days ago. I'm going to bring it up very soon. But in conclusion, this is what I like to say on issues like this. I think that while you think we should take the good side of it, we cannot continually allow people to play politics with us, delaying it and
Yes.
allowing our people to die, and then
Uh,
hoping that Cameroon would defeat us. You remember when the former
especially,
ambassador,
especially diplomats.
especially senior diplomats, you remember when the former ambassador made a statement and we protested and that statement was retracted. We were impressed when the ambassador told Bia to consider his legacy in 2018. We expect an ambassador to send out a press release questioning Cameroon's electioneering in Amazonia or questioning human rights abuses rather than just coming and just saying something like this. Aiding, in my opinion, very firm opinion, I can argue this till tomorrow, anywhere, even before my professor in PhD. I will argue this by saying that this is aiding and abetting Cameroon's agenda of return to
Correct.
normalcy. Though he's trying to be moderate, but if he says this, you see, a Cameroon proxy media has just told us the advantage of this document to them with their
Yeah.
tweet, and that's a concern.